And just to everyone who's currently logging on, I can see the number of attendees is going up. So I'm just going to wait 30 seconds to let that number go up a bit further. And then I'll start introductions. You might know on these Zoom calls that we're all getting so used to. It does take time for people to get logged on sometimes. Got a good number of people on the call though. So thank you all for being there. Okay, I think we'll get started. So I'm chairing this meeting this afternoon, and my name's Kevin Courtney, and I'm the Joint General Secretary of the National Education Union here in the United Kingdom. And before I say any more, I just want you to know we have some Spanish speakers on the panel, and we've got some Spanish speakers in the attendance as well. And you can get simultaneous translation into English or Spanish from this call. So we want you to now select the language that you're going to listen in. And on my iPad, that's a button at the top right. You go into more and then you see the language offer. And on many other machines, it's at the bottom right. But for mine, it's behind the 3 dots, but then there's language interpretation. So please do now make sure that you are selecting the language you want to listen in. So mine's selected to listen in English, but you can select to listen in Spanish there as well if you want. So I'll just give you 30 seconds to do that. And so my job as the chair of this meeting is going to be to introduce the speakers and then to ask you to ask some questions, which we'll put to the speakers. But before that, I just want to say to you that there is a function on here that where we want you to put the questions is in the Q&A button. We've got members of staff who are looking at that, and they will look for the questions and we'll ask them to read them out. That's the way we're going to do it. This is set up in a webinar format so that we're not going to see the attendees, you're going to see the panelists. And so you won't be able to ask the question directly. So we want you to put your question in Q&A, and then staff will pick that up. Mariella at the TUC will pick that question up and be able to, and then I can ask her to read those questions out. You can use the chat to talk to one another, to send solidarity greetings, to say thank you to the speakers. You will also find in the chat the TUC's code of conduct. So we don't have racist or sexist language in the chat, so you can read that code of conduct there. And please abide by it. I know that you will. We have this session as part of the TUC's Organising Festival. At Congress last year, the Communication Workers Union brought a motion. Part of it was building organising. It's what the whole movement is around. And we've set up these few days of sessions that are about different aspects of trades union organising. But the union movement in the United Kingdom, as across the world, is committed to internationalism. So we're really pleased. We've had an international dimension in many of the panels that we've had as part of this festival, including a focus on Brazil in a session on the far right yesterday. But this session is particularly on the difficulties of organising in other places in the world. And in these sessions, we find that we learn from people in other places in the world. And it's a mutual set of support that we have. The TUC looks at countries all over the world. We're part of one world, but the TUC also focuses on some particular countries. And the countries of focus at the moment are Palestine, Colombia, Turkey, and Brazil. We think that you have to focus in order to try and make some real change. So we're focused on those 4 countries. They are all on the International Trades Union Confederation, the ITUC's Global Rights Index, as countries where it is very difficult to organize trades unions and sometimes very deadly to try and organize trades unions. And so we've got three fantastic speakers for you this afternoon from Palestine, Colombia, and Turkey, who will talk to you about their experiences. We learn from those experiences and we offer solidarity to those comrades in the work that they're doing. And that's what we're all here for this afternoon, as part of a celebration of trades union organizing and international solidarity. So we're going to start. We've got three speakers, and I'll say a little bit about each of them in turn. As I say, you can ask questions in the Q&A. You can wait a little and wait for several of the speakers, or you can put questions up now. You can say whether you want to address your question to a particular member of the panel or whether you want to ask it more generally and for all of the panelists to respond. And I'm just thinking, I should have said to the panelists earlier on, because of the translation, people should be trying to speak a little more slowly than usual. And I hope the translators have caught up with me, because I can be a little fast sometimes. But I'm going to start by asking a fantastic comrade, Majd Samaroo, who is currently in Nablus in Palestine. She's a coordinator for the International Transport Federation project that's running in Palestine in the West Bank at the moment. And we're really pleased to have Majd with us from Nablus this afternoon. Thank you very much for being with us, Majd, and let's turn over to you.
Thank you. Hi all. Thank you for you and to UC for this opportunity to transform the organizing experience in Palestine. I will today talk about the organizing here in Palestine, but as an introduction, the occupation in Palestine, as you know, from 1967 was very hard. It affects all aspects of our life, and also in Palestine there is no direct access to seaport or airport, so the only way to transform the goods is through Israel. And also we have a separation wall which built by Israel, and this wall not allow for the drivers to enter through to Israel. So as I said, the only way is to transform the goods to Palestine through Israel, and this done terminals between truck drivers and Israeli truck drivers. Those Palestinians are not allowed to enter territories. On the other hand, Israeli truck drivers can enter Palestinian territories through special routes to provide the goods to settlements. More than 800 kilometers of these special routes. This is on crossing border levels and according to truck drivers. On the other sides, we have between cities, between districts, checkpoint, Israeli checkpoint, either permanent or mobile. These checkpoints forced the vehicle drivers to stop hours and hours with high inspection without any abuse. This is for taxi and bus. And you all know about the annexation plan which Israel government now plan to do in Palestine. All these conditions, and if we're taking into consideration also that we have no social protection system in Palestine, make the conditions of the transport workers here very hard and very difficult. So the only thing that transport workers think about is how to feed their families. And to go to the union and be affiliated there is something secondary for them. According to ITF, as Palestine is a priority issue to the ITF, International Transport Federation, constantly support the Palestinian workers and the solidarity with them. And the ITF now manage 2 projects in Palestine. with cooperation of the Palestinian General Federation of Trade Union. The first one is Union to Union project funded by Swedish Transport Union. Its duration from 2018 to 2022, and its target all transport sector in Palestine, and its aim to organize the drivers and build a solid transport union. The second project is Unifor project, and it's supported by Canadian Union. Its target only the back-to-back terminals trucks driver. It's from 2019 to 2021, and its aim to educate the drivers and also provide facilities for them such as toilets, shelter, where we can implement this. At the beginning of our work here in Palestine, we found a lot of challenges, not only the occupation, but also the weak percentage of the drivers. We didn't have a membership database, and also the mentality of the driver was a big problem for us. But through our work, we learned some techniques to do with the driver. The first one, we go to their workplaces, either in the stations, inside the cities, or in dangerous cross borders, because as an organizer, if you don't go, it's not good. And also for the driver themselves, if they see you them, then they believe in your job. And also we implement workshops on official holidays. Here in Palestine, it's Friday in the morning, to gather the largest number of participants, because we sure that they will not have work on Friday. And also we implement central workshops for 2 days, in which we gather drivers from different cities to share their experience, support each other. And on all of our activities, we have a union representative to listen to the drivers and transport workers' problems and to try to find solutions for them. Also, a very important thing we did, that is to build a social relation with the transport workers, because here in Palestine, the people involved too much in the social relations between each other. So we work on that to let the driver believe that the union is his second home. And our famous sentence always that we don't have the magic wand, but if we have a strong union, then we will be the magic wand. Last not least, according to solidarity with Palestine, I think the solidarity not only with Palestine, with all worst countries, but as I'm Palestinian, the solidarity with Palestine is very important. Financial support is important, but there is something much important, which is to believe in Palestine issue, to raise the sound of the Palestine. And the last sentence, I will see that let Palestine be in my hearts, your hearts, and the world hearts. And thank you.
Majd, thank you so much for doing that for us. And your last point there about keeping Palestine in our hearts, that will be dear to many people on this call. Many of our trades unions do raise the question of solidarity with Palestine regularly. My own does. And I'd urge everyone on this call to make sure you are raising the question of Palestine in your own trades union. The story Majd told of the difficulty of engaging workers sometimes, and in the extraordinary difficulties that they face in Palestine. The idea of organizing transport workers when the Israeli drivers have got those free roads into the settlements, when you can't get goods except through Israel, when there is no port, when you've got that separation wall. our hearts are with you, Majd, in the struggle that you're engaged with and trying to build up the strength of working people in that horrible, peculiar situation that you're in. And we stand with you in saying that we are completely opposed to the plans for annexation of the West Bank, and the whole of the TUC and all of its unions are in that position. We oppose that annexation, and we're saying so loudly. So thank you very much, Majd, with being with us today here from Nablus, and I know there'll be lots of questions for you, so thank you very much. And our second speaker is coming to us from Bogota, and Olga Quintero is an activist there in ASCAMCAT, an agricultural workers' trades union. And you will know, people on the call, you will know how difficult it is to be a trades unionist in Colombia. You will know of the bravery of the Colombian trades unionists. And we'll say some more at the end of what Olga says. So I'll hand over to Olga now. Thank you very much for being with us, Olga.
Buenas tardes, pues un saludo especial de parte de la Asociación Campesina del Catatumbo ASCAMCAT, desde la región norte, en frontera con la hermana República de Venezuela. Desde aquí pues queremos contarle un poco la situación por la cual estamos pasando. Primero decir que a pesar de la situación tan difícil, seguimos soñando con una paz estable y duradera, necesaria para nuestro país. A pesar que las circunstancias son difíciles. Primero, pues decir de que a corrido del año van más de 150 líderes y lideresas asesinados en el país. Que la situación es compleja en los territorios, que van 216 firmantes de la paz asesinados y que las garantías por parte del gobierno nacional son prácticamente nulas. Hay poco interés por parte del gobierno, primero en llegar con el acuerdo de paz a implementarlo en nuestros territorios. No hablo solo del Catatumbo, sino a nivel nacional. Segundo, garantías para pensar diferente y que no nos asesinen o nos amenacen o que nos judicialicen por salir a protestar a las carreteras exigiendo nuestros derechos como campesinos, campesinas, estudiantes, mujeres, sindicalistas, y esa es como la situación en general. No es diferente a lo que pasa en Palestina, en Brasil, en Turquía, en Colombia, bueno, en diferentes partes del mundo. Creo que ahora más que nunca debemos unir esfuerzos. Esa solidaridad internacional es necesaria para poder contrarrestar no solo la pandemia del COVID-19, sino la pandemia de la exclusión social, de el odio que hay hacia las clases populares organizadas y no organizadas. Y pues decir que desde Colombia yo hago parte al Comité Nacional de Paro, donde habemos campesinos, indígenas, sindicalistas, estudiantes, mujeres, gente que no está organizada pero que se quiere organizar, que ha sido un proceso difícil porque a veces es muy complejo ponernos de acuerdo frente a lo que queremos resolver, a pesar de que vamos con un mismo objetivo, y es el cambio social de este país. En ese sentido, decir que a pesar que estamos en tiempos de pandemia, pues las regiones nos seguimos movilizando. Actualmente hay erradicaciones manuales violentas por parte del ejército en los territorios, el cual en estos últimos 3 meses ha cobrado la vida de 4 campesinos e indígenas en el territorio. Sin embargo, seguimos con la moral, la fe y la esperanza que no nos queda otra, sino seguir organizándonos para seguir luchando en nuestro territorio y no dejar que la paz se desvanezca como un anhelo de décadas que hemos tenido durante generaciones y pues que es hora de seguir exigiéndola y también de ayudarla a construir. Eso sería desde aquí, desde Colombia, decir que agradecemos estos espacios donde se ayuda a visibilizar la situación del país y agradecer también al Sindicato de Educación, a Justicia por la Paz de Colombia y a todos los organismos internacionales que apoyan a Colombia en estos momentos tan difíciles y que han estado ahí leales, solidarios y firmes para darnos siempre una voz de aliento y ayudarnos en lo que se requiere. Muchas gracias.
And thank you very much, Olga. The stories you tell are so powerful, and the thought that you are having to cope both with the pandemic that we know is running amok in Latin America, in South America, as it has been here previously, and that you're having to cope with that at the same time as a government that isn't implementing that peace process. So all the struggles that you've got, you are an absolute inspiration to all of us. And again, I'd say to people on the call, if your union branch isn't affiliated to Justice for Colombia, use this opportunity to put it forward. If your union isn't affiliated nationally, it's something you can put forward to your national conference. You may know that one of the members of staff here at the TUC, now running our international work, Mariela Cajon, was previously central to Justice for Colombia and to work around that peace settlement that our government should be demanding the Colombian government implement properly. Colombia is a major ally of the United Kingdom, and our government should not be standing back from this. According to figures, we've seen 100 trades unionists killed already this year in Colombia, assassinated by these right-wing forces. So do everything you can. And you know how difficult it is to organize trades unions in our country. You know the battles that we go through. But when you think about what Olga is going through and all of her comrades in Colombia, then we have a duty to do everything we can to support those people in Palestine, in Colombia, and as we're going to hear from Osman in a little while, in Turkey as well. Thank you very much for being with us, Olga, from Bogota this afternoon, and we'll come back to you with some questions in a little while. So thank you very much. And our third panelist, final panelist today, although there will be time for questions, is Osman İşçi, who's calling us from Ankara, and is an activist in KESK, which is a federation of 11 trades unions in Turkey. And Osman has just told me before the call started, he's just come into the office from being on a demonstration about resisting attacks on the trades union movement in Turkey. So I'm very pleased to hand over now to Osman İşçi from KESK in Ankara.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you all for this kind invitation. It is an honor for me to address you and to share my opinions and my Confederation's opinions on these issues. First of all, let me express my warmest regards on behalf of the whole KESK family. The KESK General Secretary and the KESK co-presidents are also conveying their best regards to all of you. As Kevin mentioned, I was in a demonstration to protest these ongoing attacks on the civil society movement, trade union movement, and in this recent cases, the bar associations issues, because from our perspective, such attacks aim to undermine the civil society movement, trade union movement, and the right to a fair trial in the case of bar associations. My confederation is the first confederation in the public sector. It has been established in 1995, and since the very beginning, we face certain problems. When I say we face certain problems, it includes administrative investigations, judicial investigations, imprisonments, even murder. Our friends were killed in the 90s and even a very recent period. And in the recent period, because of the state of emergency, we faced also permanent dismissals from our offices. For example, I personally was working at a university. I was teaching contemporary British poetry, and then I was dismissed for signing the peace petition. Like in my case, in total, we have 4,800 members, including the co-presidents and the women's secretary of my confederation and the leaders of our affiliates in 11 sectors. They were permanently dismissed without any justification, with no legal grounds. And from our perspective, these dismissals, of course, is just one element of the problems that we are facing, is just one example of the issues that we are dealing with, because of these dismissals, our friends lost their passports. They have no right to work, even in a private sector, even in a private company. More importantly and more worryingly, 64 of KESK members are still in prison. I personally, for example, I was held in prison. I served in prison back in 2012 for joining ordinary and daily trade union activities. Together with the executive committee members, I was held in prison for almost 1 year. And we have friends, including our former co-president. We have hundreds of friends who are in exile. They had to leave this country, and now they are living in another country. They are separated from their families, their friends, and they are not part of the daily trade union movement any longer. And we know that their heart is still with us. We don't have passports because of being dismissed from the public sector. So we have no chance to right to travel. We have no chance to right to attend any international event organized by the ITUC, for example, or the TUC, etc. So these are the issues. But the problems that we are facing, of course, go beyond the state of emergency issues. For example, during the armed conflict that resumed back in July 2015, we experienced curfews in the southeastern part, which is which is an area for the Kurdish population. I'm Kurdish as well. And under the curfews, 3 KESK members were killed while serving to the community. And hundreds of people, hundreds of our members were dislocated. We use the term exile. That means their workplaces changed despite their will. We are facing all these problems. We are facing this continuous pressure. But you may ask why? What is the difference between KESK and other confederations in the public sector? There are 3 main reasons, because these 3 main reasons are the 3 main pillars that we are dealing with, that the KESK is based on. The first one is KESK is struggling for labor rights. That means we demand decent jobs and decent wage, decent salary for our life. We are struggling for professional and economic rights of our friends. The second one is peace, because in this country we have armed conflict that amounts to some extent in a civil war, a mid-scale civil war in the country, which has been going on for almost 4 decades. So we demand that the rights of all communities must be recognized, and the society must be based on diversity. These rights must be recognized and acknowledged. The third pillar is democracy. We demand a society which is inclusive, transparent, and accountable, and which is also based on rule of law. Because unless we have peace and democracy in our society, we will not be able to talk about labor rights. We will not be talking about decent jobs, decent salaries, because budget is allocated to arms trades and weapons. Then there is no money for us, and the social state is being undermined. For us, therefore, labor, peace and democracy are intermingled. There is no way to separate them from each other. And these are existential issues. These are the key principles of my confederation. Despite all these problems, since 1995, we have been struggling, and we are determined to struggle more, because this is our country, because we are the key figure in this society. We are the leading figure in the trade union movement, the civil society movement in this country. We are strong because we are not alone. We see solidarity from you, and solidarity is in our DNA. Solidarity is not an abstract word for us. When public authorities, when the government aims to silence us, you become our voice. This is what the solidarity means for us. When they want to keep us under pressure, you come together, you become our hands, our voice, and you become our key partners. You become our actors and brothers and sisters. This is solidarity for us. Let me stop here, and then if you have any further questions, I will be more than happy to answer. Thank you.
That's brilliant, Osman. Thank you very much for saying those things to us. And if I understood you right, you've been banned from international events. We're really pleased that you're here as part of this international event, and they haven't managed to ban you from being.
This is the digital age. Thank you. We find solutions.
Yeah. And I think you also said that you were a professor of English poetry.
I was teaching English poetry, yes. I was not full professor. I was teaching English poetry.
And then you're so dangerous that you were dismissed because you signed a petition.
Peace petition, yes.
We see that the government in Turkey and governments elsewhere do these sorts of things. The attempted coup in Turkey we thought was wrong. But then the government reacts to that and takes powers that they then misuse as a result of that. And so since that whole period, teachers sacked, judges sacked, public officials sacked in other places, the government really misusing that. So I think what you described as KESK's 3 pillars of labor rights, peace, and democracy and the rule of law, there won't be many people on this call that don't agree with that. And those are things that we would want for our country, but we see why they are so important in your country, especially from your perspective as a Kurdish person in Turkey as well. We want peace, we want democracy, we want labor rights. My union's doing some work with SPOT, Solidarity with the People of Turkey, which is a fairly recent solidarity organization in this country. And I'd urge everyone on the call to look up SPOT, to see the work they're doing and see if you can get involved with them through your trades union. So thank you very much, Osman, for that presentation that you gave us. And we've stayed remarkably well to time. So we have about 25 minutes or 20 minutes perhaps, in which we can take some questions and get the panelists to respond. So thank all 3 of you for the way you did that. That was really good, keeping the time, gives us some time. So Mariella, do we have some questions for the panelists?
Hi everyone. So we have one general question that's for everyone on the panel, that was asking what concrete things can unions do here and what can union members do to practically help and support you? And then we've got a couple of specific ones. Kevin, should I read out 2 more? Or? Yeah,
let's have 3 of them. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mariella.
So there was one for Osman that asked about his personal situation and if it was dangerous to take part in events such as these. There was one for Olga about the Colombian social movement and trade union movement, and whether the move to the right in Latin America and several Latin American countries was having an impact on Colombia. And there was one that was for Majd, but it was really the same one about what trade unions can do here to support unions in Palestine.
Okay, so all 3 of you can answer then about, so the general question of what is it that trades unionists here could do to help, and then the specific question to Osman about your question of your safety, and to Olga about the move to the right in Latin America. So let's go in the same order that we started with. So let's go to Majd first. And then...
Yes. According to us in Palestine, there is, of course, a lot of things the union and international unions can do for Palestinian union, according to the kind of solidarity they can able to do, either financially or morally. But at least we can organizing campaign, we can organize a conferences to raise the voice of the Palestinian, to use the social media to distribute and talk about the Palestinian issues. And also we can organize as an ITF missions to Palestine, to be with Palestinian people, to stand with them. On the part of financial support, we can do a small, let us say, such as personal protection equipment. This need a small funds. The union can also cooperate with us on that. And I will put my email on official email on the participants banner, and also if anyone needs more details or to discuss about the kind of solidarity.
Brilliant, thanks, Majd. And we'll go straight over to Olga.
Bueno, frente a la pregunta de qué se puede hacer desde los sindicatos, primero decir que desde Justicia por Colombia han jugado un papel muy importante en todo este proceso de acompañamiento, de visibilización de la problemática que vivimos acá en Colombia. Creo que hay que exteriorizar esas problemáticas, escuchar las voces desde los territorios, desde los sindicatos, porque pues el gobierno en su diplomacia mentirosa intenta decir que aquí todo está bien y todo está funcionando. Entonces creo que lo primero es visibilizar. Lo segundo, poder hacer una relación o una vinculación internacional sindical. Creo que hay que fortalecer mucho los sindicatos acá en Colombia. Han habido muchas dificultades, desafortunadamente, hay que decirlo, hay una ruptura en ese correaje, especialmente con el sindicalismo. Y pues eso, a veces, esas discusiones internas, esas fricciones, no nos dejan avanzar, porque gastamos energías en discusiones internas, cuando esas energías debemos pues de gastarlas realmente en organizar la gente y en entrar, perdónenme la palabra, en ofensiva, y no estar defendiéndonos todo el tiempo del régimen y de lo que nos hagan permanentemente, sino que ahí es que empezar a dar un paso hacia adelante en términos de ofensiva. Entonces, creo importante y saludo estos espacios y saludo especialmente a Justicia por Colombia por todo ese trabajo de acompañamiento y también de respaldo a la implementación del proceso de paz. Porque para nosotros, como le digo, la bandera fundamental es el tema de la paz. O sea, necesitamos que no se sigan asesinando líderes, no se siga asesinando a los campesinos, afrodescendientes, indígenas, estudiantes, sindicalistas en el territorio por intentar defender la paz, la tierra, el territorio, el derecho al trabajo, el derecho a la educación, el derecho a la salud, que son derechos fundamentales, pero que desafortunadamente son vulnerados. Creo que esa sería pues nuestra solicitud y el acompañamiento permanente y mantener ese correaje y esa estrechez internacional.
Thank you very much, Olga. I'm the Joint General Secretary of my union, and my Co-General Secretary, Mary Boasted, has been on solidarity visits to Colombia, as my predecessor at the NUT, Christine Blower, went on visits to Colombia. And are they valuable from your point of view? How much of a function do those international visitors coming to Colombia and being alongside trades unionists there, how valuable are they?
Por supuesto que ayudan. Como le digo, es importante ese acompañamiento, esa visibilización de la problemática, porque pues nosotros en el territorio estamos sufriendo las consecuencias en todos los índoles, ya lo decía, incluido el tema de las erradicaciones manuales violentas, que es Colombia tiene un problema de cultivos de usos ilícitos como coca, marihuana y amapola. Sin embargo, pues se ha convertido en una forma de subsistencia de muchos campesinos en el país. En el acuerdo de paz se pactó el punto 4, que es el tema de sustitución. Sustituir cultivos ilícitos por cultivos lícitos y también de una manera integral. Sin embargo, pues, y eso ha llevado a que la gente se organice también, ¿sí? Sin embargo, esto ha generado ya unas muertes este año, que lo dije en la intervención anterior, y el gobierno tiene absolutamente silencio. Entonces, frente a eso, que ustedes nos ayuden a visibilizar, que la gente quiere realmente sustituir, quiere un cambio, eso es importante y ese papel ustedes lo han cumplido y necesitamos que lo sigan cumpliendo, porque necesitamos decir la verdad a nivel internacional para que también cuestionen al gobierno colombiano frente a su actuar.
Yeah, thank you very much, Olga. I'll come back to Majd in a little bit. I'll go on to Osman next, but come back to Majd as well. About my union does delegations twice a year taking teachers to Palestine. So maybe she could comment on the usefulness or otherwise of those delegations. But thank you very much for that, Olga. So Osman, there was the general question to you and the question about your specific situation.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. I noted 3 questions. The first one is about my personal situation. I should have explained in a much better way. My passport has been canceled, so I'm not banned from attending these type of events, but I cannot leave the country. Right. Yeah. So I can attend this. It's on me. If I want, I can attend. So it's not an illegal activity that I'm talking to you now. But my passport has been canceled, and as you can imagine, if you are an international affairs officer and if you have no passport, it's like you are a driver and you don't have a key for your car. It's meaningless, and you feel useless. So in my personal situation, I don't feel endangered, but I don't want to, of course, again, want to give a wrong message, because back in 2012, I was in Brussels to make a presentation about my colleagues who were in prison. And the same question was asked, and I said, no, I don't fear. And then on Monday, I was arrested. So I don't want to say nothing will happen. Something may happen because it is quite arbitrary. I mean, you have no certainty what will happen tomorrow. So this means there is no norm any longer, and you have no idea what may happen to you just because you are talking here or just because you say no or yes to any issue. But in my personal life, I'm an ordinary citizen under extraordinary circumstances, that I can say. But I don't fear, because this is my responsibility. And if I remain silent, it will not protect me. And if I am more visible, if I am more open in my actions, because these violations, this pressure is so violent, so open, so visible, why should I hide myself? It does not protect me. So my source of inspiration, my source of motivation is my friends. If I talk to you, then I get energy from you and I feel more brave and I keep my spirit high. I'm an ordinary citizen, and like any of you, my mood goes down or up depending on any small action. I mean, if you smile me, then I feel stronger. And if you say the situation is worse, then I feel depressed. But this is how we have been living for a long period. That is my situation. So if I had explained in a wrong way that I'm banned, no, I'm not
that's yeah. I thought that was very clear, I think. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, regarding the second question, holiday issue, well, to be honest, I'm not in a position to say you should not come to Turkey. You can come to Turkey and you can spend one day with us. I mean, as part of your holiday, you can stay here for 1 week and then you can spend 1 day or 2 days with us. And I will be happy to show you around. My colleagues will be happy to show you around. It doesn't have to be Ankara. If you go to Antalya, which is the most popular location, one of the most popular locations, we have members there. And I'm sure that they will be happy to show you around, to talk to you and to share their experience. So that might be a deal, huh? Rather than avoiding coming here, you can come and show solidarity with us and then people will see you. And regarding the third question, these concrete actions, I can refer to the UK Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee's report. It was published and adopted 5 years ago. There are concrete recommendations to the UK government. One of them says the UK should adopt policies and it should decide about its relations with Turkey depending on human rights issues. So if there is any certain human rights violations, then the UK government should warn the government of Turkey. That is the key issue, and it's a clear recommendation from the parliaments. And you can use this report in your activities if you talk to the MPs in your country or if you talk to the embassy in London. And for your information, we have really close relations with the UK embassy here, thanks to your efforts there. I mean, I personally met several times with the ambassadors of the UK for this type of issue. So that might be a concrete action. And if you just say hello to any of KESK members, any trade union members in Turkey, be sure that we will get the energy and the synergy from you, from any part of the world.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Osman. So Majd, do you want to say something about delegations? And then I'm going to go back to Mariella to ask for another 2 or 3 questions. And then we'll have to be quite quick about answering on those 2 or 3 questions. But Majd, do you want to say something about delegations to the occupied territories?
Yes, as well, many unions made special missions yearly to the Palestine. ITF, one of these international federation that have our yearly missions. Let us say a youth missions to Palestine. It's yearly from all around the world. Anyone can involve in these missions. And I think the missions to Palestine, one of the most important requirements and one of the most important solidarity points to Palestine.
Brilliant. Okay,
and according to PJFTU, anyone or any union can coordinate a special missions to Palestine. Thank you.
Fantastic. So thank you very much. Mariella, have we got a couple more questions for them?
Yes. Hi. So there was a question. There was some comments to Majd about from Michael about his union supporting the Palestine Solidarity Campaign and that they're lobbying Parliament. There was a specific question to Olga, another one about the regional situation, on how the situation of the US relationship with Venezuela was impacting on the situation in Colombia. And then there was a general one really in terms of, you know, what sort of relationships are useful for the unions to build, you know, is it with NGOs, with charities, highlighting the abuses to different structures like the UN, and then, you know, what is the kind of the best stage to bring these issues to the forefront, and the importance of international alliances, really.
Okay, thank you very much. So we've got about 4 minutes before I think we have to finish this Zoom call. It finishes at 15:55. So I'm going to ask Olga and then Majd and then Osman. to come back on those questions, and then maybe we'll just have time for you know, sort of final word from each of you and from me before we finish. So if we go to Olga with that question first of all, specifically about the US and Venezuela and the impact that's having.
Bueno, es evidente que lo que pase en la región afecta a Colombia, pues prácticamente Venezuela hace parte de Colombia y pues no más el tema de boicoteo con Venezuela, pues preocupa realmente a nosotros por estar ahí en toda la línea fronteriza, pero también al movimiento social de Colombia nos preocupa que pueda ocurrir algo de manera violenta. Afortunadamente, creo que el gobierno venezolano ha sabido sortear la situación y ha podido desmontar todas las artimañas que ha intentado de hacer Venezuela contra el pueblo, lo que ha intentado hacer el gobierno estadounidense contra el pueblo venezolano. Esperemos que jamás pase algo realmente violento, porque, como lo digo, implicaría a Colombia, ya que el gobierno colombiano, más no el pueblo colombiano, sino el gobierno, está a favor pues de apoyar lo que diga Estados Unidos, cosa que nos parece que es muy grave y reprochable a cualquier punto de vista.
Thank you very much, Olga, and over to you, Majd.
Yes, if I understand the question right, I think we should raise our voice to all the committees, to all NGOs, to all to anyone to any company or institution or organization can help us. Not only the trade union, but we should raise our voice internationally. And I think ITUC, one of the biggest organization that stand with Palestinian, especially ITUC was the first one who planned such as statements against any illegal things that Israeli government doing. I think it will be help us very, very much.
Brilliant. Thank you, Majd. And then I think the final contribution from the panelists will be Osman.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Yeah, regarding the question of these international bodies and the charities, etc. Of course, you can use the reports produced by these bodies, international bodies like the UN bodies, UN Human Rights Committee or the ILO Experts Committee in your activities that you are carrying out before the national authorities in the UK and also before the embassies in other parts of the world. I mean, there are lots of reports, just the ILO Committee of Experts reports put forward several concrete recommendations to the government of Turkey with regard to the trade union violations. And you can use these documents when you contact the embassies, the embassy here in Turkey, and you can say, on the basis of this report, you must be more active with regard to the trade union rights. I mean, it is already active, but there is always room for improvement. That's the point. Otherwise, it is quite active here. And you can use such documents in your activities to inform your members that such violations is not an argument only from the people who are deemed problematic or deemed oppositional, but also objective reports are here. That might be the key solution, or you can use this type of documents in your activities. Huh?
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. And I'm going to just say some words in finishing up, and I just want to say to Osman, Olga and Majd, you are fantastic representatives of the working people in your country. And I'm sure that everyone on the call wants to thank you for being on this call with us today. We're trying to organise the trades union movement in our country, and we want to do that for the working people in our country, but for working people worldwide. To say to people on the call, thank you for being on. It has been recorded and it will be on YouTube at some point. And I want to say thank you to the staff who've organised the call from the TUC, that done a very good job of doing that, and to say thank you to the interpreters who sometimes get missed out, but thank you very much for that interpretation. And to everyone on the call, I want to say you've heard some fantastic speeches. You will have taken inspiration from them. Make sure you're writing down a couple of steps that you're going to take in your union branch or in your union to raise one or all three of these cases, and to make sure that we maintain that internationalist orientation. And let's just all finish by, we can't do this by applause in this Zoom world, but solidarity to the people of Palestine, Colombia and Turkey, and good luck to all of you in your struggles. Thank you very much for being with us.